Good evening, everybody, and welcome to SAR, make it SAFRL for Season 5, Round 4, and we're at the Circuit of the Americas. This is the 8th track to be introduced as the US Grand Prix, and really the first successful layout to hold on to its USGP. There we go, we're getting some action out on track. I was going to say a Mercedes, but that's an Aston Martin on its way out. Already a few viewers in the stream, a few people in the comment section already. Thanks to everyone who has joined. Already got some pole position predictions. What is that? Pole position, a 108.4, between a 108.4 and a 108.6, and the predictions for pole position: Logic, Dan Rubico, and Cheddar. By the end of the week, you should be completely sick of Kota, because the way things have lined up this week, seems like all the South African leagues are doing Kota, as well as Kota happening this Sunday. SAFRL Tier 1 at Kota here on Monday night. Tier 2 also at Kota in 2 days' time, Wednesday night. Then Kota also playing host to other South African leagues, JPR and SKR, on Friday and Sunday night. So many laps of the Kota circuit will be done in the next 7 days. People still joining the stream. Thanks to everyone who's joined. Already predictions coming in. Don Rabico for P1 for pole position. We'll see how these predictions play out. I think the first man out was an Aston Martin, so let's see where that Aston Martin is. Ooh, we've just got a horse on the side of the track. That's Windsor's. I believe this was the car right here. That's Tiago. No lap times on the board. He's going to be the first man over the line. I am looking at the wrong thing. I do apologize. I'm doing too much commentary. We're not at Kota, we're at Zandvoort. I'm thinking ahead of myself. Pampun goes fastest, 109.3. Tiago P2, 109.8. We have 4 manufacturers in those top 4 times. Yeah, no, I'm the comment section's laughing at me. I know, I'm having a fantastic time. I even got the track where I was wrong. Not sure what's going on. I think it's because I was doing a few laps of Kota prior to joining this lobby. It's Midas. P1 now 108.9. The lap times coming down now. Cheddar 108.6. Lap times continue to come down. What was that initial prediction we saw? The initial prediction was pole position, either Don Rabico, Cheddar, or Logic. Let's see. Well, there we go. Don Rabico and Cheddar, they are in the top 2. It's an AlphaTauri 1-2 at the moment, making up the front row. Django and Shakes remaining in the pits for now. Brand's out on track. He sets his first lap of the night. It's a 110.3. That's P12. Timing screen's already looking very populated. 16 cars out of your 20 cars. That's right, 20 cars, a full grid tonight. 16 of them have set lap times already. We're still waiting for lap times from Django and Django Shakes and wins it. Those 3 cars remain in the pits. Now Langnai also looking for his first lap time. Cheddar into the pits. That's provisional pole so far. He's got that 108.6. His teammate just behind him, Don Rabico, 108.8. 2/10 of a second. Cover the 2 AlphaTauris. And then on the second row, we've got 2 Mercedes-Benz. It's Midas F1 Logic taking up P2, P3 and P4. Then we've got an Aston Martin in P5 and Sims on the way into the pits from his first run. Obviously remember, just the single qualifying session, not a full qualifying session, so this is your one and only attempt. 20 cars in the field. If you're not able to get yourself reasonably up the field, well then that's where you start. No second chances. Billy just saying that the calendar this season, all of the tracks are just DNFing tracks. Well, if you've ever seen me drive, well that's most of the calendar for me. Wizard's looking for his first timed lap of the evening. He's going through Sector 2. He was quickest in Sector 1, purple Sector 1 for Wizards. Currently P20, no lap time as of yet. We wait to see what he can do as he goes over the line to set his first lap of the evening. Just that final corner now. So important not to get the grass on the inside and so important not to get the wall on the outside. Wizards goes P10, 109.6. 1 second away from provisional pole. This man here, he was in the pits for an awfully long time, finally comes out to set a time and, well, that's not going to help. He's got tyres full of gravel. And look at that pit exit. A very busy pit exit. 3 cars coming out at once. The 2 Alpines headed by an Aston Martin. Times at the front. Cheddar leads the way from Dan Rabico. That is just 2/10 of a second. Then a further 1/10 of a second back. We've got It's Midas. And then Logic. Times at the front, absolutely insane. Look at that. Biffelsfontein in P7. He's just 2/10 of a second away from P2. That top 10. Very close together. So much can happen on the second run. Some of those drivers will have made little mistakes on their initial run. They will have something extra in their pocket for the next one. Just over 8.5 minutes remain, and these short quali sessions, they can go by so quickly. DRS, yes, DRS Neil just saying how close the top 10 is. And absolutely, Cheddar leads the way, 1:10.6. 1:8.6, sorry. And then Pampun in P10 is a 1:9.3. So the top 10 covered by less than a second. 6/10 to be exact. Shakes and Django still looking for lap times. Django's actually gone into the pits. He's back on his way out. So that initial run did not work out. Yeah, good evening there, Tian. Tian's asking about the post-race interviews. I would like to do some post-race interviews. There's still a few things we need to figure out. I'm uploading through a PlayStation, and some of these guys are not on a PlayStation. So for the drivers that are not on a PlayStation, I'm not going to be able to get them on the comms box with the equipment I'm currently using. But we'll definitely get that going in the future. Just need to start changing the way I upload. But back at the front, Cheddar 1086, he's actually back out on track looking to improve. His teammate, Don Rabico, he's being wheeled back into the pits, 1088. Sims P3, and not far behind, just 1089. Needs to find 3/10 to put himself right at the front of this field. Very busy sector 3, but the cars are nicely spaced out, so I don't think traffic will play a part. Cheddar goes fastest, 1084. He was already fastest, but just adds another 2/10. Puts the pole a little bit higher. And now the time to beat, 108420. Don Rabico, P2, he's in the pits. Simps 1089, he's out on track. He's giving it a go to improve up from P3. I think we might see him dive into the pits. Doesn't have a lot of battery. Yes, dives into the pits. We haven't watched Pampun, but Pampun was able to pop his car up into P4. Leading Red Bull driver. Demoting the two Mercedes-Benz to the third row of the grid. Grimjaw P4 in the pits. Buffelsfontein, the first of the two Ferraris, P9. We have Willis, second of the McLarens, coming out for another run, another attempt. Not Shumi. Second Red Bull just outside the top 10. Zandvoort can be a tricky circuit. Sometimes not the most convenient circuit to do your passes on. And with 20 drivers in the field, you really don't want to be starting at the back of this field. Giving yourself a lot of work. Here is Cheddar 1084, provisional pole being wheeled back into the pits. Oh, there's still just over 4.5 minutes remaining, so we may still see him have another run. Everyone in the top 4 sitting in the pits. It's Midas P5 is on an outlap. Buffelsfontein here leading Ferrari. I thought he was on a quick lap, but I think he's just pulled out of that completely. So I wonder if traffic put him off, because he was the battery charge was definitely going down quickly, which suggests he was pushing, and then suddenly just going very slowly. So top 4 will remain in the pits. Fastest driver out on track at the moment is P5. It's Midas, Mercedes-Benz, followed by the Ferrari of Buffelsfontein. Currently in P6. Not sure how I did that, but the game just switched between the two Ferraris. That could be useful, I don't know how I did it. Bosveld in the second Ferrari, P12. 1093 on a new set of softs. Looking for something better. Wants to get himself up the field. Starting in P12. It's one of the most difficult places to start. Starting at the front is preferable, but there's lots of pressure. Starting at the back, not exactly what you want to do, but at least you get the benefit of avoiding the carnage of turn one if there is any. But starting right there in the middle, that can be tough. Horsfeld goes over the line. He does improve. He sets a 109.1, and that puts him up into P11. Further up the field, we have also now Wizards getting into a 109 flat. Look at the difference between Buffelsfontein and Wizards. 600ths of a second. And then 500ths of a second ahead of that, you'll find Pampun. And just 4,000ths ahead of Pampun, you'll find Simps. So these lap times are, wow, these lap times are incredibly close. Back down in P15, we have Shane also now on a fresh set of softs on what appears to be a fast lap. His first run was a 109.7. He'll be looking to improve from that. Goes past a, what was that? That was a blue car. I think it was a Williams. Williams off circuit. Shouldn't affect his lap too much. Now he's going to get some more traffic here. And that's just something you're going to find here at Zandvoort. Very commonplace on this circuit. Let's follow Shane around this final corner, see if he is able to improve. Currently all the way in P16 with a 109.7. And he does improve. He takes 7/10 off that time. Makes it into a 109 flat. That's good enough for P7. Pampun over the line to start a fast lap. Currently 108.9 for him. Look at these lap times at the front. I can't get over these lap times at the front. Difference between P1 and P2, 0.2 of a second. Difference between P2 and P3, 4,000ths. Absolutely. Sims does improve, but just by a couple of thousandths, so doesn't change position. Who's still out on track? We have Cheddar out on circuit. He is your provisional pole sitter with a 108.4. Pampun also out on circuit, looking to do what he can in the closing stages of this qualifying session. If things were to remain the same, if things were to end right now, who at the back can still improve? Diago here at the back of the field, P17, wants to get out of this position, get himself possibly up into the top 10, somewhere nearer to his teammate. Goes over the line. Does he improve? Yes, he does, but just by the one position. Goes up from P17 to P16. Still have Welsh out on track. He's actually just behind his teammate. Where is Simps? There is Simps. Simps currently P4. Let's see if he can improve. Doesn't have to improve by much to get himself up onto that front row. And he does not improve. Where is his teammate? Welsh currently P13. And he's chosen to go into the pits. So clearly wasn't going to improve. And I think it's safe to say that that is your qualifying session. so there we go. There are your qualifying results. Here in Zandvoort, Cheddar taking pole position by quite a large number there, 0.4 of a second. Then we've got It's Midas in P2, Don Ravico P3, Simps P4, Pampun in P5, Django getting P6, Biffelsfontein P7. Then we've got Grimjaw P8, Shane in P9 at the end. Then Wizards makes up your top 10. As for the other 10, in P11 you get Logic, P12 Bosveld, P13 Welsh, P14 Shakes, P15 Not Shimmy. And that is what happens when you have a full grid. Sometimes you're not fast enough to read the whole list. There we go, welcome back. And now the guys are doing their final adjustments, final touch-ups. Who's going to start on what tyre? What will be the right call? What is the strategy to go out on? 20 cars around Zandvoort, one of the more narrow circuits on the calendar. Surely safety cars are something you need to take as a strong possibility. Do you underfuel? If you do, by how much? And I haven't seen anybody freaking out in the comment section, so I don't think we'll have rain. 5 red lights. They all go out, and that means we're underway. Cheddar leads from pole position. Will he be first into turn 1? Yes, he will, but there's a Mercedes up into P2 going past Don Ravico. He loses a position there into turn 1. Then Simps holding on to P4. Pampun all over the back of the McLaren in the early stages. Django P6 holding off an Aston Martin, that is Grimjaw. Then we've got Shane in P8. He's made up a position since the start of the race. Started in P9. F1 Logic, he's now down in P9. He's lost a few positions. Biffelsfontein still holding on to the top 10. Outside the top 10. Here we go. Wizards P11. Shakes P12. Welsh, he's actually just fallen down to P14, and he's been passed by this man here, Tiag. He goes up to P3 in the second Aston Martin. Lots of action here on lap 1 of Zandvoort. Yes, I know it says USA. I'll fix the name. And immediately, a little too much action on lap 1. It's brought out a virtual safety car. We have our first retirement of the evening. No longer do we have 20 cars on the track, just the 19. Convoy becomes the first retirement of our race tonight. Now we have a car in the pits. That's a damaged front wing for the Alfa Romeo driver, Shane. He will be wishing this was a full safety car, giving him the ability to catch up to the back of that queue. But it is just the virtual. You can still lose time under the virtual safety car if you're caught napping. And Midas will not want to be napping when Cheddar does have that option to go. You got to be careful. I've seen a lot of penalties right at the end of a virtual safety car, speeding under safety car, guys just getting going a little too early. Just got to be careful there as green flag goes, and here we go. Cheddar leads the way. Apparently in this new patch, it was a pretty big patch, got some new car models, also got the addition of the Formula 2 cars, the 2023 Formula 2 cars, coming out a little bit late considering the Formula 2 championship is basically decided. but I think the cars look great. This game has always looked great. Its problems have never been in its looks. They do, they look more defined. Doesn't mean I'm able to drive them though. I need something with training wheels. At the front, Cheddar leads the way. He's just gone purple in Sector 2. Obviously this is the man that took pole position and led into turn 1. He still leads the way. Don Rabico, P3. He lost P2 in turn 1. Now it's Midas setting the fastest lap of the race. Obviously this is early days. We will see these lap times still come down as the race goes on, as these cars get lighter. We have a look now at the tyre split at the start of the race. Seems like most of the drivers on the field, 14 of them in fact, are on a set of softs. Just 5 drivers on the medium compound, and nobody choosing to run the hard tyre at the start of the race. You can see there Don Rabico in P3. He is on a different strategy to the cars around him. He's on that set of yellow wall tyres. That should translate into a situation where Cheddar and Midas will have their tyres falling off long before Don Rabico, which means Don Rabico should be able to go further on into the race. We've got a retirement, hopefully not a, and there we go. I was going to say hopefully not a safety car, but the game didn't even let me get out the car part. We are under first safety car of the evening at the Zandvoort. Lap 5 of 12. In our first race of the night. Obviously this is our sprint race, the shorter version. It'll be followed by a feature race. That grid for the feature race will be set by this race here. For the time being, race is completely neutralized. A blessing for the drivers at the back, drivers who lost the wing early on, now getting an opportunity to catch up to the back of the queue, have another go. For the drivers at the front though, just a pure irritation. Every time you build up a bit of a gap, every time you build up a bit of an advantage to the car behind, safety car comes out and cancels out your hard work. Cheddar, your leader and pole sitter, is in the pits. He was actually, seems to have sat there for quite some time. Not quite sure what happened there. Now Don Rabico P2. Remember, he's on that set of mediums like we mentioned earlier. And really the whole point of starting on the softer compound is that you should have the superior grip and the superior traction in the opening stages of the race, therefore giving you the ability to pull away and open up a gap before your first pit stop. But when you get a safety car early on in the race, it really cancels out any advantage you get from the softer compound. So the drivers out front on a fresh set of softs might just have put themselves in a little bit of a difficult position, and Don Rabico, he seems like he's in a pretty strong position. Pampun in P4 in the first of the two Red Bulls. He's on that same strategy, also on a set of medium, so another driver to watch. Midas. It's going to be interesting at the end. How far will these softs drop off? Obviously they can do the entire distance of the race, but what condition will they be in? I've got no information on why Cheddar, we didn't see that, but Cheddar did go into the pits and he put on another set of softs. The only thing I can assume is that he had some sort of damage. The only thing I can assume is that he had some sort of damage on that car, because it wasn't about the tire compound. He went in and put on the same compound, and now gave away a lot of track position, and that will affect that'll affect the start of the feature race for him if he has to start down in P13. If he still comes from the back to get up onto the podium, well, that would be impressive. Still under safety car conditions, waiting for confirmation of when the safety car will come in. I think we're going to get another lap of this because we have a is that an Aston Martin? No, that's an Alfa Romeo. We have an Alfa Romeo that is trailing the rest of the field, so I believe we'll get another lap under safety car conditions. This will also now help all the runners on soft tires. You just get 2 or 3 laps behind the safety car, not pushing the absolute everything out of that soft compound. Should just be able to extend that tire life by a lap or 2. And in a race as short as a 12 lap sprint race, that extra lap or 2 of tire life could make the difference at the end. So Cheddar will have his restart this time from P13. It's Midas who will have the responsibility of getting us underway when the safety car does decide to come in. That just have a look at that Alfa Romeo. Is that Alfa Romeo ghosting, or no, he's not? I was just wondering. But I think he should catch up in the next sector and the safety car will be in. Now this man here, it's Midas, takes up the responsibility of leading the field around. It's up to him. When does he go? When does he accelerate? It's up to Don Rabico not to be caught napping. He's gonna want to stay on his gearbox, leaving it really late, and here he goes. And Don Rabico might have got, almost thought the McLaren had got the jump on him, but Sim stays P3. We have a Williams trying to go up the inside. That almost landed up in a nasty collision, almost got another safety car in fact, but Django stays ahead of the crowd. He stays ahead of Grimjaw for now. Logic switching positions with the Haas driver of Windsors. All sorts of madness in the midfield. Hard to keep up. Just there, Tion in the comment section. Yes, absolutely. Cheddar now needs qualifying laps until the end of this race. He's currently in P30. P10 already made up 3 positions. P9 4 positions. Let's see how far up the field he can get, but for the time being it's Mercedes, it's Midas leading the way. P1 on softs, he's got Don Rabico just behind him on a different strategy on a set of mediums. Then Simps, P3, also on a set of softs. Pampun on a set of mediums. So an even split between the top 4, between softs and mediums. Speaking of the podium positions, they are far from decided with just 2 laps to go. Field so close together. Just the 1 penalty in the field. Let's just have a look what that is. It's a 5-second penalty for Royal Viking. That must be for speeding in the pit lane or speeding under safety car, one of the two. Everybody else in the field got their penalty column clean, and that's quite difficult to do here in Zandvoort. So well done to everyone out on track. Lap 10 of 12. It's Midas still holding on to the lead of the race. Don Rabico in the AlphaTauri just waiting, looking for the perfect opportunity. Maybe waiting for that mistake, hoping those softs can fall off. When he starts to see that Mercedes wriggle around, then he will know. But for the time being, it's Midas doing everything he needs to stay ahead. But now DRS has been enabled, and this will surely give the AlphaTauri in P2 a serious advantage. Just needs to make sure he stays crucially within DRS. Further back down the field, let's have a look at the progression of Cheddar. He made a pit stop. We couldn't understand why he made that pit stop. Put on a fresh set of tyres, came back out in P13. Now he's worked his way up all the way into P6. So he's found 7 positions. I said P6, but he's already gone up into P5 since I said that. So things keep on changing. Now Logic falling down the order quickly. Must have been an incident for the Mercedes. Here we go, just going awfully slowly. Let's go back to Cheddar. You can actually see the leader from here. What a drive this is by the AlphaTauri driver. Set the fastest lap in qualifying, started from pole position, led into turn 1. And then had an incident which we can't explain because we didn't see it. Went into the pits for a fresh set of tyres. Came out in P13, and I wonder if this is how far he's going to go. This is the man just ahead of him, Pampun, P4. Feels like he can just stick his arm out of the cockpit and reach a podium, so close. But unless one of these 3 make a serious mistake, I think this will be our finishing positions. Don Rabico hasn't given up on it just yet. AlphaTauri versus Mercedes-Benz. And if you're gonna pull your move, you need to do it now. You're gonna run out of tarmac. The McLaren giving the AlphaTauri all sorts of headaches. But I think everybody will hold on to this. If you crash around the final corner in a sprint race, you're starting at the back of the feature race. So no one wants that madness. Top 5 cars go over the line. Very close together. In fact, let's just... top 5 cars came over the line. Spread by 1 second. Look at that. 1 second between the top 5 in your finishing order. We wait now just for the solitary McLaren. Everybody else has seen the checkered flag. The McLaren comes over the line for P17. Makes up your field in the sprint race. And obviously we had those 3 retirements. Obviously that was just the first race of the evening. Top 8 get a couple of points, but the big race is still to follow. Let's see if we can get through this list before the game cuts me off. It's Midas winning that sprint race for Mercedes-Benz, followed by Don Rabico P2, Sims P3, Pampoon P4, Cheddar in P5, what a recovery drive by him. Then Buffelsfontein P6, Grimjaw P7, and Shakes picking up that final point in your sprint race. Outside of the points, we have Brands P9, Bosveld P10, Shane P11, Logic P12, Longnai P13, Django P14, Notshumi 15, Viking 16, Welsh 17, and then retiring in that sprint race, Wizards Tiog and Convoy. I got that in just in time. Just in time. Welcome back again, and it's time for the feature race. Guys will probably have learned a thing or two from that sprint race, may make slight adjustments to their strategy going into this. Obviously now is the time where you make your final choices, your final decisions, and then you're going to have to stick with them for the remainder of the race. Nice one, Billy, there in the comment section, just saying nice one from the top 3. Great drive by the top 3. I'd say everyone in that top 5. Amazing drive. 5 cars over the line, covered by a second. And I hope that's what we'll see in our feature race tonight. More of that. More close driving. More close racing, and more importantly, more clean racing. Just the 3 DNFs out of 20 drivers. Great to see. There we go. 5 red lights. They'll go out and we'll be underway. It's Midas, starts from pole position. He won that sprint race. Is he going to be first into turn 1? Yes, he will be first into turn 1. Actually, not much madness into turn 1. Everybody holding station. 20 cars starting this race. We have a full grid. It's Midas leads the way from Don Rabico, Sims P3, Cheddar. What a sprint race he had. Real ups and downs in that race. He's in P4. As far as the tyre situation goes, well, you can see the tyre situation on your screen. Most of the cars have chosen to go out on the medium. We have a virtual safety car. I just mentioned the tyres. We said that most of the field is on mediums. Well, your leader, P1, it's Midas, he's on a set of softs. I remember what I said in the sprint race. If you're starting on that softer compound, the whole point is to have superior pace at the start of the race and be able to build up some sort of advantage, some sort of gap. Because you are going to have to pit earlier to try and minimize that disadvantage by getting as much of a gap as you can in the opening laps. But if you get a situation like this that just neutralizes the race, takes away that advantage from you. But now we're back under green flags. It's Midas back underway, and he's actually got a nice little gap down to Don Rabico, 7/10. At least he can breathe. Car's not right on his gearbox. Speaking of Don Rabico, got his hands full. Got a McLaren right behind him, and that McLaren is sandwiched by 2 AlphaTauris. He's got Cheddar right behind him. You're trying to make a move in front of you, trying to watch the car in front of you for every detail, spot any mistake he can make so you can capitalize. And then at the same time, you've got to worry about having chatter in your mirrors. It can't be an easy situation to be in for Simpson P3. The longer these three drivers tussle for P2, the longer its Midas can smile. But as soon as these three decide not to race each other and chase your leader, at the moment these three cars not impacting each other too much. Doesn't look like they're holding each other up too much. I think the drivers know. If you were to engage right now, you could have a situation where the Mercedes gets away at the front. Ooh, some advertising board just blowing up on screen, and I didn't quite see who hit it, so it may have blown up by itself. It's Midas still at the front, just the 0.5 of a second, so not a big gap. We are on lap 3. DRS is going to come into play next time we go around this long final corner, and Don Rabico is either going to be able to make the pass, or he's going to be able to utilize DRS to get awfully closer than he is right now. It's Midas. Takes a defensive line, moves towards the inside, but it just seems like Don Rabico didn't have much interest in taking the position on that particular lap. Gap didn't really come down, stayed at 0.5 second despite DRS. Don't really know. What are your why don't you guys tell me? You probably spend more time out on track than I do. What are your pit stop predictions, guys? Starting on mediums, are they going on to hards to finish the race, like a one stop, or what are your predictions? Guys starting on mediums, guys starting on softs, what are their plans for the race? For the time being, the only soft runner in the top 10 is your leader. It's Midas. See, a lot of people are watching live. It's great to see. Thanks to everyone who has joined the channel. Thanks to everyone who has joined this wrongly labeled race. For some reason I was thinking of Austin, Texas. I will correct the name after the race, but thanks for joining us. Leave a like. Let us know you're here. And don't be afraid to let us know you're here in the comment section. Give us predictions. Who's on what strategy? Which way do you think this will go? Is there anyone at the back that can cause a late twist in the race? It's Midas, Don Rabico, Simps. Those are your top 3. We ride on board with the Alpha Tauri now, just on the gearbox of that McLaren. He can see his teammate just ahead of him. And just ahead of his teammate, he can see the leader of the race. It's Midas. Everyone's still very close together. On lap 5, Grimjaw P5, Brands P6. And Shane having a better feature race. He's up into P7. We'll find the first of the 2 Ferraris in P8. And we have a virtual safety car. Why do we have a virtual safety car? I'm just looking for any stationary cars. I don't see any stationary cars. Seems like everyone's back underway. So I think this will be a short safety car, virtual safety car. Speaking of the ERS management on this circuit, yeah, if you really get that ERS all the way to 0, it takes quite a bit of time to charge it up on this circuit. Guys will be grateful for the virtual safety car. Gives you that gives you that opportunity to really just charge up the battery again. Drive through penalty, speeding under VSC. I mentioned that earlier in the sprint race. Seen a few penalties like that. And Tiago, he will have to take that penalty on the chin. Don Rabico in P2 at the restart. Can he do anything about it? Midas into turn 1. No, he can't. It's a little too far behind. He'll know he's on the harder compound. Maybe just playing the long game. Not going for the risky move right now. Waiting for those softs to start showing signs of wear. The guys in the comment section just talking about ERS management. And yes, ERS management can be crucially important, especially on a track like this, when everybody is so close together. If you find yourself as the one car in a queue of 10 with a flat battery, well, you're just going to get flooded every time you find a straight. Really frustrating feeling, especially at the end of the race when your car just runs flat. Over the line, it's Midas. Don Rabico getting as close as he's been in the last couple of laps. Thought about it, but Midas to the inside, taking the defensive line, and there's just no way around the outside on that corner. Simps still in P3, where he's been for a majority of the race. Holding position, nicely absorbing the pressure from the second AlphaTauri. No mistakes from him as of yet. We have an Alpine with a very angry Aston Martin all over the back of it. Grimjaw attacks brands. That's for P5 and P6. And while these two struggle, P7 will be getting closer and closer. Shane, 1.3 seconds adrift from that battle up the road from him. Second, Red Bull in a battle of his own. Natsumi, P16, is fighting with Tiago. Looking for P15 in this race. Natsumi much faster than that, so the Red Bull's just not having a good feature race so far. A long way to go, 36 laps in total. And there we go. Very nicely done. Natsumi on the helicopter cam. We saw him pull off a very nice and clean move. Tiago gave him the space that was required. Good driving from both competitors. Shane has left the session. Or was that Shakes that has left the session? I believe it was Shakes that has left the session. That probably means we have a car that's ghosting around. Yes, there we go. Just confirmation. Shakes is not in the lobby. That car will be controlled by an AI until hopefully he can get back into this race. So if you see the Alpine falling down the order, that's the reason. Cheddar so close, 1/10 of a second away from the McLaren. Just looks to the inside ever so briefly, thought about it, and then quickly dived in again behind the McLaren. Said not right now. Now up the inside. If he gets the superior traction out of the corner. Ooh, very nicely done. McLaren just holding on for now, but things getting so messy at the front. Don Rabico now P3, Cheddar P4, and Simps showing some extraordinary pace, holding on to its Midas at the front. And even as all these cars battle, Midas not able to get away from that field, even with a set of softs. Hopefully he hasn't taken too much out of those softs, and hopefully on lap 9 most of the advantage of those softs hasn't fallen away. Seems like everyone behind him now starting to put a bit of pressure on the Mercedes. And now Simps easily done before turn 1 into the lead, and we could see an AlphaTauri fighting as well. Don Ravico will wait for another lap. But at the front we have a new leader. Simps leads the way. And now the two AlphaTauris, they can see that this Mercedes is losing pace and they'll be desperate to get past. Want to get past that Mercedes, don't want to let the McLaren get up the road. And now it's Midas entering an interesting stage in his race. He was leading the race nicely, comfortably, but now it's gone into P2 and coming under heavy pressure from the two AlphaTauris who almost run into each other. You want to be careful with that. Last thing you want to do is lose your front wing on your teammate's rear wing. And now the AlphaTauris, was that a swap of position? I believe that was a swap of position. Don Rabico almost losing another position to an Alpine, but definitely a change in positions between the AlphaTauris, and we have another virtual safety car. If you've just joined us, we're on lap 12 of 36 under virtual safety car conditions for the second or third time. I believe it's the third virtual safety car. I'm not quite sure. I'm having a rough night. But Simps is leading the way from its Midas. Cheddar now in P3 after that late switch just before the virtual safety car. He switched positions with his teammate. So Cheddar P3, Don Rabico P4 and Brands P5. Green flag conditions and we're back underway. Simps leads the way from its Midas, Cheddar P3, then Don Rabico, his teammate, just a little further back. Seems to have lost a bit of momentum. Wonder if he's got a... Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. It was just a terrible camera angle. I thought he had a damaged front wing. He does not. But that AlphaTauri just continuing to lose a bit of time. Ever since he swapped the positions, seems like he just lost a bit of momentum of his own. Just needs to get his head down and get his focus back on his teammate. Catch up to the AlphaTauri ahead. We have another retirement. It's Thiago. 2 retirements on the night. We started with 20 drivers. We're down to 18. We've lost an Aston Martin and we've lost a Ferrari. Those two teams down to just the one driver, Bifflesfontein, the only Ferrari representative on the night now, and Grimjaw, the only representative from Aston Martin. The only representative from Aston Martin, he must feel like Fernando Alonso. Cheddar gets past. It's Midas, and there's contact. It's Midas, gets clipped on the inside and he's not going to be too impressed with that. Puts him into the inside of the tyre wall. Let's just see, where is It's Midas? There he is, he's getting going again. Just want to have a look at that front wing. Does he have damage to the wing? Crucially, no. Crucially, he does not have damage to that wing. But I think he's going to have to pit in the next couple of laps anyway. Remember, he started on a set of softs and now he's fallen to P9 on an aging set of soft compound tires, and that will not be the position he wanted to find himself in. As for the front, the top 8 cars all seem to be on identical strategies, all started on mediums. Closest thing we have to an interesting strategy is it's Midas, but he's now in P9 on that set of softs, and then Royal Viking in P10. He's on a brand new set of hards, so I wonder how far he can go into this race. Grimjaw into the pits. Wizard has DNF'd from the race, and I didn't know he had DNF'd from the race until I looked at the comment section and saw he had commented, and I said, well, this guy, he's quite talented. He's able to get in the comment section while driving. But Wizard has retired, just saying that I believe that is force feedback issues, making the car quite undrivable. Midas still out there on a set of 14 lap olds. Wizard suggesting that it's Midas could be popping into the pits for a set of hards. I believe that will be to take him to the end of the race. Maybe that's why he's just stretching those softs for as long as possible. I think that is him going into the pits. There we go. He does go into the pits. It's Midas, follows Django, and Don Rabico. Now Cheddar. Cheddar is out front for AlphaTauri, and he'll do everything he can to hold on to this lead. His teammate has just pit. I presume Cheddar is going to pit the very next lap. What tyre did his teammate go on to? His teammate went on to a brand new set of hards. I'm almost certain we'll see the same strategy, and this could, well, Cheddar was almost certain he'd pit on this lap, and now he's going to get it perfectly because the safety car came out on the lap he needed to pit anyway. So while those cars behind him aren't going to be able to be traveling at full speed, he can come into the pits, do his pit stop, while all his competitors have to drive around at a speed limit. This is going to give him a fantastic advantage. He needed to pit on this lap anyway, and the safety car came out for him at just the right time. We didn't get any position changes at the top 5 because everyone has chosen to pit, and now Cheddar. He is able to get a free pit stop and hold on to the lead of the race. Everyone in the top 5 on a brand new set of hards. I think everyone you see there in that top 11 on a set of hards, top 10 on a set of hards, will finish the race on that set. Unless they have any issues and need to have an unwanted pit stop. I think this should be the end of the action for the pit lane at least. Race becomes neutralized once again. Safety car will lead the cars around the Zandvoort circuit until everyone is able to catch up to the queue. Field will get recompressed, gaps will be cancelled out, and we'll be back underway with either 17 or 18 laps remaining. Still many cars trying to catch up to that queue, so expect at least another lap at best. Give me predictions for the podium. This safety car has really shaken things up. If somebody had long-term plans for their strategy, this could have really messed up those plans. So, has anyone's predictions changed? What's your podium predictions? Let me know. I'm going to take a 1-minute break. I'll be back. And give me your predictions for the podium. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so you can watch all our further races. Leave a like on the video. And there we go, we are back. And we're back just in time. Luckily we're back just in time because I wasn't even in the room. So just in time. Cheddar leads the way from Simpson to turn 1. And it's a nice and clean restart yet again. Everyone at SAFRL Tier 1 doing a great job on all the restarts. We haven't seen many incidents between the drivers. We have a caution. Seems like a full yellow around the flag, and there we go. Lungnai out of this race. Lap 19 of 36. And I should have taken a longer break. Tion just giving us some predictions, saying that Simps in a very strong position. I think everyone there in the top 11 really in a strong position. We've seen multiple safety cars in this race. Really a safety car coming out at the wrong time or the right time could really affect the result of this race. You look at the top 11, everyone on a set of hards. With the exception of Welsh in P8, everyone on a relatively fresh set of hards. So I think anyone in that top 10 for now. The sprint race that took place earlier on today started with 20 drivers, ended with 17. And in our feature race, we started with 20 drivers and we're down to 16. Convoy chose to go into the pits and put on a fresh set of softs, so he is trailing the field. I think he could catch up to them potentially in the next couple of corners, but I think the safety car will stay out for at least one more lap. It's great to see so many people watching. Lots of people coming and going, but great to see lots of people tuning in to catch up with the action. If you've just joined us, I see a few people did just join. So if you're just joining us, we are on lap 20 of 36. We're under safety car conditions yet again. We've had multiple safety cars in this race. We have multiple virtual safety cars in this race. But through it all, Cheddar is somehow in the lead after that mistake in the sprint race that put him in P13. We thought he was going to start this race in a terrible position. Somehow managed to get himself into P5 before the end of that sprint race. Started in P5 and now he is in P1 behind the safety car with just 15 laps to go. Watching on TV and doing the chat on my phone. That's 2 viewers. Yeah, I wish it worked like that. I'd just put all my different computers working on the stream and give myself some fake views. But unfortunately it doesn't work that way. One account can only watch a video once. It only counts your view as once. You can watch the video 100 times. The video will not get 100 views. It'll get 1. Unless you're watching from multiple accounts. But thank you for the attempt at boosting our channel activity. We've had Tion and Billy in the comment section throughout, so I thank them both for keeping me company in this race at Zandvoort that for some reason I introduced as Kota. But the less said than about that, the better. Time to do some YouTube editing and just cut out that introduction. It's a bit of a mess. Not one of my best moments. Lap 22 of 36. Just now waiting for confirmation that the safety car will come in. I do believe he will come in this lap. Field is together. And they're approaching sector 3. We just now wait for confirmation. As the safety car now pulls off into the distance, Cheddar, he will back up that field. And there we go. At the restart, Cheddar leads the way. Simps P2. Brand's looking at an opportunity of jumping into P2. He's on the inside. Does he go for the lunge? Looks like the McLaren ran a bit wide. Alpine was not able to take advantage of that. Now we've got an Alfa Romeo up into P3. Shane taking full advantage at the restart. And he has turned his race on its head. Didn't start in a great position, but now in the latter stages of the race, up into P3. Just ahead of him, McLaren of Simps. He's been fast all race long. And this man here, he has dominated the night in terms of pace. And now he's exactly where he wants to be. He's in P1. Just set the fastest sector 2 of the entire race. So he is on the move. Billy there just saying his prediction for the Red Bull duo, Verstappen and Ricciardo. And Tian coming back with, nah, Max and Alonso. Well, putting a 42-year-old Fernando Alonso in a rocket ship of a Red Bull, that would be very interesting to watch. And just imagine they put him in that car and he started beating Max. Cheddar leads the way, half a second is the gap, so he hasn't been able to break that crucial DRS. Simps P2, Shane P3. He's having a fantastic second stint to the race. In recent times, Shane has had great starts to a race and terrible second stints. This time round, he's going in the right direction towards the end of the race. 6 manufacturers in your top 6. Have to go as far back as P7 to find the second AlphaTauri. Don Rabico was in a much stronger position earlier on in the race. Now he's having a bit of a recovery drive. He's not going to get any help from his tyres. All the cars in front of him on exactly the same strategy. Did I just blow your mind with the Alonso prediction? I think that would be I think there's a few drivers on the grid that, look, I'm a Max fan personally, but I will admit there's a few drivers on the grid that I would say, given equal equipment, we could have a very interesting championship on our hands. One of those drivers, yes, I'd say Fernando Alonso. Probably driven for more teams than anyone else on the grid. You can probably take any equipment and make it work, especially if the equipment is near perfect. On your right, Piastri or Norris. I think that's why they both have long-term contracts at McLaren. McLaren knows those two drivers could very well be their future, and they want to hold on to them for as long as possible. Sibs running wide, going off the circuit on the outside, just maybe a little bit of loss of concentration, maybe just missing his braking point. And that allows Shane Alfa Romeo up into P2, Brands P4, Biffelsfontein P5. Here's a prediction. Here's a game we can play with the comment section. I want you guys make a prediction on Sergio Perez. How many rounds will Sergio Perez get to in 2024 before there is a seat change at Red Bull? Round 3, round 4? I think the shortest would have to go to Daniel Kvyat. I think he got fired after 4 races. Round 4 replaced by Max Verstappen, who went on to win his first race on debut for Red Bull. Still pretty close here at the front. Top three, nothing in it. Cheddar, Shane, Simps. Just 0.7 of a second over the line. Shane thinks about it, goes up the inside, or at least he positioned the car to go up the inside, but then thought better of it. Stays in P2 for now, but getting really close. Looks like the Alfa Romeo might be slightly faster at this stage of the race. Cheddar still leading, Shane still P2, Simp still P3. That order not changing at the front. Guys in the comment section, you're making me have quiet moments because I'm trying to read all your comments. Some long comments, a lot of discussion about Perez, Christian Horner, Red Bull, and what's going to happen next at that team. Well, if you want my prediction, I think we'll start 2024 with the driver lineups as they are right now. Max Verstappen, Perez at Red Bull, Yuki Tsunoda, Ricciardo at AlphaTauri. But if Perez has a bad start to the season, that driver lineup is very quickly going to change to Verstappen, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Lawson. If Perez has a start to the season that resembles anything like Nick de Vries, he'll be out by round 5. But now Shane. Told you that Alfa Romeo looked a little bit quicker than the leader. He's now taken the lead, and we've got to watch those seconds. Is he able to open that gap, or will the AlphaTauri come right back at him? He does come right back at him, and I was going to say up the inside, but he's in front before turn 1. Cheddar back in front, Shane back in P2, Sims back in P3. I've got to stop reading the comments. Guys, got to make your comments shorter. So, Brands in P4, Biffelsfontein P5, Don Rabico, he's had an up and down race, has he not? He's now in P6. And he's just not getting any advantage from those tyres, and the guys in front of him are just as quick. So, has to rely on mistakes. And at the moment, no real mistakes coming. Some real impressive driving, has to be said again. 20 drivers starting this race, and after 30 laps we're only having 4 DNFs. Some really good driving, and I haven't personally seen any collisions besides that little tap we had earlier. Cheddar leads the way, half a second is the gap. Shane still P2, holding on. Sim still P3, holding on. All of them within DRS. Then a little further back we have Brands, and he has 3 cars approaching him at speed. Now, I don't know what this comment section is doing. I don't know who Mikey is, but I see that name coming up a lot. Sometimes it's the full phrase is no Mikey. I don't know who Mikey is or what he did, but seems to be a popular fellow on social media. Everyone talking about him. I should just pay more attention, and I'll probably know who Mikey is. Sim still P3 now. Shane utilizes DRS. He wasn't able to get into the lead before the corner. He had to utilize the corner. He went up the inside. Now he's going to have that AlphaTauri right behind him. And if you're not able to open up a decent gap, it's almost impossible to defend the next DRS zone. Important thing we were talking about earlier was the ERS management. Now, I won't talk about it for the fact that drivers may be listening and I may be giving away certain driver strategies, but I will bring it up on your screen so you can have a look at the different ERS levels. And yeah, definitely, I'd say at least as far as ERS goes, man in P3 is definitely in the strongest position. But now we're back onto the main straight. Shane is your leader. AlphaTauri is going to get DRS. And this... Oh, he hasn't got it this time round. Wasn't close enough. Initially, thought he was going to get it. What would your craziest prediction be for F1 2024? My craziest prediction would be Lance Stroll gets fired. Wouldn't that be a great day? Shane leads from Cheddar, Sims P3, but these three drivers, they're covered by half a second at the front of the race. One of these make a mistake and could take out the other two. Lots of pressure. You're in the front. You're fighting for position. You're driving as fast as you can on tires that are aging on the absolute limit. And the amount of concentration. Now the AlphaTauri does get it right. What he wasn't able to do on the previous lap. Gets through in turn one, up the inside. Shane doesn't get the best exit, and that allows the McLaren to think about it for a second. McLaren gets really close. This top three now, Cheddar, Shane, Sims, constantly changing order. 2 laps to go. We don't know what order these top three will be in, but I'm pretty sure this will be your podium. Top three are getting all the coverage, but further back we've got fantastic battles out on track. Brand's in P4, and he's doing everything he can to hold on to P4. He's got Don Ravico, Grimjaw, and it's Midas just behind him. Everyone within DRS, a long DRS train behind the Alpine. And if he's able to hold on to this 4th place, I think he can be a happy man. Not many battles at the back of the field. A lot of the cars at the back of the field just having a race of their own. Not Shumi into the pits for another pit stop. That'll take him down to P10. Pampun, P8. And then there we have the back of that DRS queue. Pampun will join the back of that DRS queue very soon. Then it will be Pampun, it's Midas, Grimjaw, and Brands all fighting here. Don Rabico was able to get past Brands, and now he's up into P4, but I think he's a little bit too far off the podium. I think your winner will come from one of these three drivers here. 1.5 laps to go. Cheddar leads from Shane. Simps is in P3. McLaren, who has sat in that position for most of the race, could still be the car that steals this at the end of the day. Remember what we said about ERS management. Now the McLaren up the inside of the Alfa Romeo. I'm sorry, there's too many teams in Formula 1 that start with the letter A. believe it's like there's only 10 teams and 4 of them start with the letter A. At least 2 of those will change next season. AlphaTauri still leading. Shane has lost his way a little bit. That pass by the McLaren may have just damaged his momentum a little bit. So now I believe the race will come down to these 2. But if Simps is going to make a late lunge, make a late move, do something crazy at the end, he's running out of tarmac to do so now. Just the final corner and they'll be on the main straight for the final time tonight. Not much more Simps could do. Got as close as he could, and look at those 2 over the line. 1/10 of a second between first and second. Shane goes over the line in P3. Then we get Don Rabico, Grimjaw, Midas, Convoy over the line. Now we're just waiting for the rest of the field. Logic comes over the line in P8. Gets a couple of points. Brands in P9. Looked like he was going to get P4 not so long ago. Then Pampun picks up the final point. Not Shumi, just missing out on the points. P11, Royal Viking P12. Waiting for Willis, who is ghosting. A whole bunch of cars here at the back ghosting. The Ferrari is able to get past the 2 ghosting cars, so just take note of that on your results. The Alpine and the McLaren at the back of the field, they ghosted over the line. A lot of support in the comment section. Cheddar, congratulations to him for that race. What a performance. Convoy taking driver of the day. Good race for him too. We're going to skip the podium so I can try and get through all these names. There's your official results. Cheddar had a great comeback in the sprint race, then in the feature race, winning the race and taking pole position. Simps P2, Don Rabico P3 in the second AlphaTauri. Good night for them. Then it's Midas P4, Shane P5, Grimjaw P6, Pampun P7, Convoy P8, F1 Logic P9, and Buffelsfontein collecting the final point on the evening. Brands. Am I reading this wrong? Yes, I am reading this wrong. Thank you, F1. There we go. Race results, not weekend results. So Cheddar wins from Sims, Shane P3, Don Rabico P4, Grimjaw P5. Then we have It's Midas in P6, Convoy P7, Logic P8, Brands P9, Pampun makes up your points. Then just outside the points, missing out, not Shumi in the second, Red Bull P11, Royal Viking P12, Buffelsfontein P13, Shakes P14, and then Willis P15. The rest all DNF'd. The DNFs, Django, Langnai, Wizards, Thiago, and Bosveld. I'm not quite sure what's happening there, but we briefly switched into Formula 2. I want to thank everybody who joined us today. It was a fantastic race, sprint race and feature race, both great races. And I will take note that the guys would like to introduce the interviews at the end of the race with the podium positions. But those guys will need to stay in the lobby, and I'll let them know for the next round, and we'll try and get that set up so that from next week we can have interviews with our top 3 drivers. Thank you all for joining us tonight. If you're watching this live, or whether you're watching this after the race, later on in the week, or listening to it in the background, whatever it may be, thanks for joining us. We'll be back for Tier 1 next week. And maybe we'll be back for Tier 2 on Wednesday. Thank you, everybody. We'll speak soon again. Enjoy.